Hello and welcome into another live edition of The Meltdown. Today, Oppenheimer and Poor Things dominated Oscar Sunday. We'll talk about it. Tyler's all caught up on one of TV's hottest shows and has a series status check for us. A special guest drops by, making her very first appearance on the show, and Luntz's List tries to predict box office success. It's all straight ahead on The Meltdown, presented by MyBookie, broadcasting live from the Culver studio.
Two big boys in a tiny studio, teaching you and me about everything they know that makes up a meltdown. It's the meltdown, time for the meltdown, coming for the meltdown. Let's start the show.
Love that rock star theme. If this was an Oscars acceptance speech, then I'd make sure to mention all of our loyal Meltdonians that join us every day on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch. I have to make sure I mention that before John unmutes everyone's microphone. Feel free to interact with us during
I can mute yours back if you want me to.
That is true. Feel free. I beg for your forgiveness. Feel free to interact.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Okay, continue.
It's a fun joke. Feel free to interact with us during the show via the live chat. We love hearing from you. The other half of the Meltdown, as mentioned, that's John Lunsford, who is still in mourning after Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse lost the Best Animated Feature Oscar to The Boy and the Heron last night. John, how are you doing in your grief?
I'm okay because I know it ultimately made a lot more money. I know it ultimately is the better movie. That the crew there already has one because Into the Spider-Verse already won. And when Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out, whenever it comes out, that's one thing I feel bad with the 2024 list that I've done so far is that it was supposed to come out this year, and now it's a question mark of when it will come out. Could be later this year, could be next year, whenever. But when it comes out, it will finish the greatest animated trilogy of all time, one of the greatest trilogies, period, of all time, and that will win an Oscar.
Dune Part 2, not for me, but I respect the hell out of it. Across the Spider-Verse, not for me, but I respect the hell out of it. Why do you think Across the Spider-Verse was not for the Academy as a whole?
One, it had already won because Into the Spider-Verse, and it's very much the same crew, there at Sony that would have won that award. Two, superhero movies, just for the most part, don't win. Animated is the best chance for a superhero movie to win something. And three, Tyler, I don't know the dude's name that did Boy in the Heron. What's his name?
That would have been, gosh, why am I blanking on it right now?
You're the anime person. That's why I went to you.
Miyazaki.
I put him on the spot there.
And Toshio Suzuki.
I don't think he has
Hayao Miyazaki.
I don't think he has ever won an Oscar, and this is his chance to win one after having. I assume people look at him as like the king of doing anime films and all the stuff that he's done before. So there's a lot that goes into. Oh, and by the way, it had an incredible voice cast for the American version, so everybody voting in America would lean in that direction when you have like massive A-list stars doing the voices there. So it was kind of a perfect storm for Into the Spider-Verse to lose. If all you have is the occasional Pixar Universal movie going against Beyond the Spider-Verse when it's up, assuming it has the staying power of the last two, I don't think it'll lose.
Producer Tyler, as mentioned here, with some renewed energy. Now's the time. You got a chance to catch up on the FX TV series Shogun this past weekend. Is it living up to your personal standards following the strong word of mouth?
So I really didn't know what to expect going into this show. I just knew it happened in the Edo period, which is a period in Japanese history where there was a lot of civil wars, and it was after the fall of the shogun. So you've got all these different clans fighting for control of Japan. But this sort of scratches that itch that I've been looking for since Game of Thrones has
it got that same sort of vibe?
Same sort of vibe. There's no focus on magic or a lot of the stuff you see in Game of Thrones, but it's definitely that feeling that if you say the wrong thing, that's it for you. And interpersonal relationships are very important, and what you say and how you say it's very important.
It's kind of like working here at Disrupt Media.
I was about to say, I'd be screwed if we said the wrong thing.
Be
and
very careful.
I got when I said the wrong thing. I actually started it last night, made it halfway through the first episode and fell asleep, but that's because We had been watching the Oscars all night. We did a post show after that for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Glowing review.
So, well, it was like midnight by the time I started it, and I got like 20 minutes in. I was like, this is a mistake. I don't know why I started this. It just was top of mind on Hulu. Like when I opened Hulu, I just thought I'll watch Family Guy or something stupid. But yeah, I ended up falling asleep 20 minutes in. But that is,
it seems like a good show to fall asleep to.
well, the problem is it's a show you have to pay attention to. It's very much in Japanese. So, because when I saw it, it first took me to the English dub version. And I'm like, I feel like there's English in this. And there is English in it, but it is very much, so far what I've watched, majority Japanese, and paying attention to subtitles and everything when I'm trying to fall asleep, it put me to sleep. But it was a good show. I just was super tired.
You're for show gone fall asleep. How was that? Was that bad?
Yes. Eldonians.
Okay. I'm glad you like it, Tyler. Tyler's like, this is the next Game of Thrones. I love it. And John's like, but that's
Sounds like you and me talking about Dune.
It does sound like me and you talking about Dune, but I'm glad you're enjoying it, Tyler. Keep us up to date on whether or not it drops the ball or continues its hot start here. It's 3 episodes in, right?
Yes, it's 3 episodes in. 4th episode premieres tomorrow. And in all fairness, I can see why John fell asleep. If you're not actively paying attention and reading, there's not much English in it, and so you can just kind of zone out and fall asleep. Okay. So,
Rockstar.
Great.
Definitely not a nighttime show for sure.
That's
No,
an
not
interesting
at all.
review for sure. Rockstar back in the saddle once again. Thank you for sharing your talents with us on a daily basis.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate that so much. Did not watch Shotgun.
I have a question that I've wanted to ask you for a while now, and that is, what do you listen to when you're coming into work?
Well, that's a great question. I will not answer that. That's my private space. No. I take my son to daycare, and we listen to, if we're listening to something, it has to be kids something, or I have something on the iPad for him to watch, and I'm just in silence listening to Cars. And then when I drop him off, I get that probably 8 or 9 minutes of freedom before I come here. And I used to do talk or a podcast or something like that. I love Jim and Sam show on Sirius, but today I listened to Incubus on Spotify and just hit random, let it shuffle for me. Because and I was telling Scott when I got in here, I was like, I was listening to the album Make Yourself today, and I forgot how good that was. I don't know why I was in an Incubus mood. I had not heard or seen anything about Incubus in forever. But in just some days, I'll just find an artist. I'll do, like last week I did a Red Hot Chili Peppers thing where I get to listen to like 2 or 3 songs on the way to work. So today was Incubus. That's a good question. It used to be podcasts. Sometimes when you have a little toddler, silence is fantastic, just driving with your thoughts.
Isn't that how you originally found the round table? You were walking around the track constantly at the Civic Center and listening?
I was walking around Wald Park, which I think 2 laps is a mile, and my smart self would eat like a ton of food, and I'm going to go walk, and I would walk the equivalent of 2 miles, and in my head I go like, that was probably 800 calories. And I'm walking probably a 25-minute pace. So, and I would listen to, it wasn't the round table because it was Herb and Ray.
You found the round table guys that way, I guess I should say.
I found Herb and Ray on WJOX 690, and I would listen to them, and then I'd switch back. When they go to commercial break, I would go to Feinbaum. And when Feinbaum went to commercial break, I went to, so that's how I started. And I wasn't really a big sports guy, but for some reason I was like, I don't want to listen to music right now, so I just listen to sports talk.
And here you are on the Meltdown, all because of those actions.
I am an actual Meltdownian.
That's actually a better term than probably what I came up with. John, we appreciate so many people, including all of our Meltdonians, during this launch of the Meltdown, including our title sponsor, that's MyBookie.
Yeah, go to mybookie.ag. Played a little Academy Award plays there this past weekend. Won a couple, lost a couple. My grand total, I lost 28 cents when it came to the Oscars, so worth the thrill, I guess, for the 28 cents that I ended up losing overall on the bets that I made, because I bet on stuff like The Boy and the Heron because it was the underdog. So I thought, hey, might as well sprinkle a little money there. Ended up hitting. So you can go there. You can play all kind of stuff, sports. You can play some entertainment stuff. Award season's over, but I'm sure some things will pop up as we get closer to the election and when we get closer to award season next year. Go to mybookie.ag. Use promo code NEXTROUND there when you make that first deposit. You'll get a first deposit bonus when you use code NEXTROUND there with our friends at MyBookie. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere at mybookie.ag.
And a friendly reminder to make sure that you are subscribed right here to the Meltdown on our YouTube channel, no matter how you may be watching now. Head on over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button because you're going to find all kinds of extra content, including the very first episode of Laurel's List, which debuted this past weekend, counting down her 5 most anticipated horror movies of 2024. So make sure you put that in your queue if you're a fan of the scary stuff, unlike John Lunsford, her husband. Our Oscars post-show reaction show took place last night. If you want a deep dive discussion into every aspect of the Academy Awards broadcast, John, reacting to that show last night on the live stream was a lot of fun.
It was. It's good the minute the Oscars were over to jump right in. I remembered a lot more last night as opposed to if we had waited until right now, and I would have forgotten a lot of stuff that happened last night because I started watching Shogun and went into a Japanese world and fell asleep. So I would have forgotten all about the Oscars. But hey, you know what? May not have fallen asleep if I had not done the post-show. So anyway, it was a fun show to do. It's good to get that kind of instant reaction to it. It's good to talk about the moments and go super in-depth on that. I know we don't want to get in the weeds on every little thing on this show, but, if you want to go check that out, you can go to youtube.com/ at Meltdown247. Catch it there, also on our Twitter account as well, as we broke down every award, every moment, every snafu, and all in between.
It was tons of fun for sure. One place that I now have a ton of fun at, that's Alabama Dental Associates. And I never thought I'd say that my dentist's office provides me pure joy. Dr. Jeff greets each of his patients with a smile. Dr. Brian is funny and friendly and is always keeping up with the latest in my life. Look, it's no secret I used to hate going to the dentist. Not anymore, though. When you find a good dentist, it's such a relief. I hope that they decide to do this forever. That's what I need them to do, is to commit to being dentists for the rest of their time here on earth, because I enjoy it so much. I'm being selfish here, I know, but for the past year, I've enjoyed the experience at Alabama Dental Associates on Grants Mill Road. You will too. They have the friendliest staff in town. You can call them right now to set up your appointment at 205-956-8977. Maybe you've fallen off the wagon and you need to go ahead and book an appointment with a place that's not going to judge you, no matter how long you've put it off, time and time again. Get back on the wagon with those regular dental checkups at 205-956-8977 or at alabamadental.com. All right, let's talk about the Oscars. Oppenheimer won 7 Academy Awards: Best Cinematography, Best Score, Best Editing, Best Supporting Actor, Best Lead Actor, Best Director, and Best Picture. It becomes the 3rd highest-grossing Best Picture winner of all time, behind Titanic and Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. As an Oppenhomie, I was thrilled to witness all of the film's success, both monetarily and critically. John, as an Oppen-hater, which of these 7 award wins were you the most on board with?
It's literally one of my top 15 movies of the year, of the 60-plus that I saw.
It did not make your cut of 5, and it wouldn't even made your cut of 6 Best Picture nominees this year.
No, but it would have made my cut of 7 if we had done that. Anyway, a good year overall of movies, which is why it was that low. I'm glad Nolan got his due, because he's, deserving of it. We had the conversation last night about, people getting their due versus, ones that just actually created really good content. And I would say this is both for him. I would have leaned probably, in Holdovers or Poor Things direction in terms of things that were actually nominated. And Poor Things still won 4 Oscars on the night. Let's not forget that it actually won a lot of the
This isn't about Poor Things. This isn't about the Holdovers. You cannot dodge the question. I want you to give Oppenheimer
Christopher Nolan
some respect and some love. This is the last day you're forced to do this. And I promise you will never bring it up again. But if you could just make it one time about the actual film that I love, instead of shifting focus to other films that you love, I would appreciate that.
I look forward to your Moonlight love. Oppenheimer was a well-made movie. I have no problem with all the people that won things. I like that Nolan finally got his due with that, and his wife as well.
If you were an Academy voter, would you have voted for Oppenheimer at the top of your list for all of these different categories? Or how many of these categories would you have actually voted at the top of your ballot?
I would have voted Oppenheimer for cinematography, and I would have voted Oppenheimer for film editing. I think that's it.
Okay. An Oppenheimer hater is amongst us. And I just want to point that out.
Just because I didn't make it number one.
It
Tyler-
changed
Say
the
that.
history
No,
of
it's
the
okay.
world, and you don't
Yeah.
even like it.
Tyler and Rocky, remind me of what you guys thought of Oppenheimer, because I need to hear that on display here. And tell me why it's the best film of the past 4 years.
Tell you why.
Yeah.
I loved it. I wouldn't say it's the best film in the past 4 years, but I'm a huge Nolan fan. I thought it was great, especially it's a lot of dialogue, but I didn't mind it. It's a long movie. Cillian Murphy's really, really good in it. He should win an Oscar if they ever nominate him. And I love Robert Downey Jr. He should win if he ever gets nominated. But
You're a good man, Rocky.
I thought, and I did like the transition from black and white. I think you kind of explained that to me, that you've seen it 8 times. I thought it was a great movie. But also, that's the only movie I saw that was nominated for Best Picture. So I am not a good thermometer for this. Tyler, you speak.
I think it's barometer, but yes.
Thermometer.
Okay.
I thought it was the best movie of the year. Let's see. I saw Oppenheimer. Poor Things was nominated for Best Picture. American Fiction was as well, right?
Yes.
What were the other 2?
There were 7 more.
Oh.
Barbie, Past Lives, Anatomy of a Fall, The Zone of Interest. Trying to think off the top of my head.
American Fiction, he already named.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I think those 3 might be the only ones I saw.
Maestro. Was Maestro?
Oh, yeah, Maestro, yeah. I
Didn't
try to
see
forget
that
that one
one.
exists.
But that was my favorite out of all the ones I saw. I went and saw it 3 times, which is a real commitment considering the runtime of Oppenheimer.
But is it better than Dune 2?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I don't know. I
Oh.
really like Dune. I might go see that again this week.
Oppenheimer didn't have a popcorn bucket.
I still stand by.
That's true. That's true. We don't have an Oppenheimer popcorn bucket sitting right there.
I still stand by. It may have won Best Picture, but if Dune existed in the year, and when it was supposed to come out in November, the writer's strike is what pushed it back to this year.
Excuses.
If Dune came out last year,
Well, if Beetlejuice came out this year, we would be talking about it, right? It would have been a sweep.
I hate this argument. This is what all the Dune fanboys do. They all go, "Oh, you better
look,
be
it's easy
happy.
to win on an easy year.
Better
sure.
be happy that Oppenheimer had just an absolute cakewalk to the finish line." It's like, stop it. Oppenheimer would have still won. But I appreciate it. I like my films like I like my wings, and that's nuclear.
Oh,
I actually don't like hot stuff. I don't like spicy stuff at all.
Yeah,
so I don't
was
even
gonna
know why
say,
I made
I've
that
never
joke.
seen you eat that, but okay.
Russell says, hey, in the chat. Hey, Russell. We've got James who says, I love Shogun so far, Tyler. Very much enjoy it. We have Nick that says, anyone seen Damsel yet? My wife wants to watch it, but not that much into scary stuff, and it looks like it could have some scary stuff in it. But you said you watched it this weekend, and it was just okay, in your opinion.
It's fine. Millie Bobby Brown has not done anything that I would list as in my light category outside of Stranger Things. This was, a 2.5 out of 5 for me. Not great. Probably one of the top 3 movies I've seen this year, but that's not saying much. It's okay. It's got some scariness. It's PG-13, but it's all about she's trapped in a cave with a dragon, so it's dark and the dragon's breathing fire on things. So clearly it can be a little scary if you're not a fan of dragons, attacking young girls.
I'm a fan of dragons, but not them attacking.
Yeah. So, it's fine. It's on Netflix. If you got an hour and a half to kill, go watch it.
As a UAB fan, I'm also a fan of dragons.
You are
Why
loaded today.
am I I'm on fire?
You're taking my role.
Much like the movie Oppenheimer or The Meltdown. Or I need to quit with all of this. We have Charles who says the post show was great. By the way, glad you guys thought to do one. Saying big surprise of the night for us was Emma Stone winning. Glad she did, but we haven't watched Killers of the Flower Moon, so can't speak to Lily Gladstone's performance as the favorite. We're going to get into that here in just a moment. We have Richard who says, not going to lie, wouldn't have watched the Oscars if it wasn't for this show. Well, we're going to pay off that commitment right here because we have more Oscars rundown to get to with Poor Things. The Emma Stone-led Poor Things, which dropped on Hulu last week, was the second biggest winner of the night with 4 Academy Awards: Best Makeup and Hairstyling, Best Costume Design, Best Production Design, and Best Actress. John, we both agree that Emma Stone absolutely killed it in this role. So let's get right to the point. Is it one of the top-tier best acting performances that you've ever seen as a fan of film?
Wow.
Yes, it is. It is better than her first performance in La La Land, strictly from an acting performance.
I agree, and I'm a La La Land diehard, so I agree.
Emma Stone, because I can't remember if we had this conversation on the air or if Laurel and I had it after the fact, but I'd say if there's anybody from the Oscars this year that you say, okay, who's definitely going to win another Oscar, my answer would be twofold. Billie Eilish is going to win another Oscar at some point because she's the person people are going to go to do songs. She's 22. She already has 2.
I think it's going to get old.
And Emma Stone will definitely win another Oscar at some point as well. She already has 2. She's the new Meryl Streep in town, and she's going to win more as well. Because most people from Oppenheimer, Robert Downey Jr. is not going to win an Oscar again. Cillian Murphy probably not. Nolan has gotten his now, so people aren't going to be like, we got to give him one, even though obviously he does quality work. But Emma Stone was phenomenal. If they gave one acting award away, it was just who was the best actor, period. She would have won hands down over everybody else that won and was nominated.
As an Oppenheimer fan, I agree. I agree with this. That's how good the performance was. This is the first thing today we have not disagreed on. Even off the air, we've been disagreeing all day long. I got a salad with no dressing. And I said, how am I supposed to eat a salad with no dressing? And John goes, it's better that way. You should eat it that way.
It's better health-wise for you if you eat it without the dressing.
I got it, but all I wanted to do was run down to Culver's and get a nice butter burger, and with the extra butter. And I ate
Culver's on the way home from Nashville this weekend.
Culver's it was
good,
just fantastic. We're broadcasting live from the Culver studio, and we appreciate them very much. Go get yourself a butter burger today. But we've just disagreed all day, and we both agree on Emma Stone. That's how good this performance is.
Yes.
There's going to be people that think we maybe are aligned on a lot of our movie tastes, and we are far from that, John. We have a lot of disagreements, and I cannot wait to hash them out as we get more movies into theaters this year. I respect Dune. I'm very cordial about Dune for the most part, but it's just not my cup of tea. You absolutely love it, and I think that you can at least be happy that I have enough respect for it to have a civil conversation.
Okay, I've been having civil conversations for
whoa! How did this turn into an argument?
8 months about Oppenheimer.
I'm saying, no, you're an Oppenhater, and I think we all know that. Okay. Can we talk about a movie that we all love? I want to get your take on Poor Things here in just a second, Tyler. But Godzilla -1, you want to talk about upsets? It won for Best Visual Effects. It's a $12 million movie, and it's up against all of these other movies with insane production budgets, and it ends up winning. Does this re-spark some sort of hope that we're going to see more great low-budget cinema hitting the theaters that connects on a human level, John?
And I think it's yes, but I think it's also going to do the same thing for foreign films that aren't ever going to have the same budget of the $200 to $300 million, superhero movies and space movies we get in America. And I think it's going to, I think it's going to reunite the low-budget movies, but also make people respect movies like Godzilla. Yeah, you go into the American Godzillas and say, that's not a great movie. Yeah, you go into a lot of comic book movies now and say, they're not great movies, it's great for explosions. And you go to a Michael Bay movie of any kind, like Transformers or something. But it's going to make you sit back and think, like, you can do good movies with this. So when there's praise thrown to a movie like that, you don't instantly discredit it. You go into it saying, I'm willing to give this a shot, and especially from foreign films as well. I feel like Parasite helped that a little bit by winning Best Picture. This has helped that. Which, once again, we talk about France messing up with Anatomy of the Fall. I think Japan messed up by choosing Perfect Days, which may be great. I haven't seen it. The trailer looks good. But Godzilla was the movie from Japan this year. So I think it's going to help reevaluate the way we do foreign films from picking them from different countries and reevaluate how we approach foreign films in the theater here in America.
Tyler, you may remember this on the live show on Friday, but I said the film that people are going to be talking about coming out of the Oscars is going to be Poor Things, because it's going to do really well and it's going to find an audience that it didn't find throughout its theatrical distribution. You got a chance to see Poor Things on Friday. I know you already love Godzilla -1. I think we've gotten tons of content on you loving Godzilla -1. I know you're happy it ended up winning at the Oscars. But having just seen Poor Things, is that a movie that delivered for you?
Yes and no. It was a weird movie, and I kind of struggled to stay interested in it at some points, but Emma Stone's performance was unbelievable. Definitely deserving of Best Actress.
And there's a little thing that happened at the Oscars that really made you geek out, and it had to do with the statues that they brought up on the stage with them.
Oh, absolutely. So the visual effects team from Godzilla -1, when they accepted their award, all of them were wearing custom Godzilla shoes. The heel of them was a Godzilla claw, and they were all carrying Godzilla figurines with them. And one of them was an all-gold Godzilla with a little bow tie for the Oscars. And I want that to be a real figure that is released commercially, I will buy one for the set.
All I see in Rockstar's eyes. Can we get Rockstar on camera here? I want to see Rockstar's eyes. All I see is, why am I here? How did I sign up for this? This is too deep.
If it was such a film, why didn't they invite him? Like, was
Godzilla?
He even, yeah.
He was outside. You just couldn't see him inside.
Oh, I guess they had. He was literally -1. They couldn't have him come
It was
in.
like the dog from Anatomy of a Fall. There was so much outrage at the animal potentially being there that they didn't want to let him in, and then they finally caved and let the Anatomy of a Fall dog in.
A slippery slope. You
But
just opened the floodgates.
Godzilla didn't make the cut. Guess he didn't know the right people.
Okay, speaking of the dog, I briefly saw this. Did they have somebody with
Yes.
Yes, they had somebody
clapping.
with arms for
Yeah.
the clapping.
So the dog was
while
there.
they accepted awards.
They showed him during Kimmel's.
This was on Nickelodeon, you
It
said?
was after Robert Downey Jr. won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. They had the
Oh, because he
clapping.
supported him. That's nice. Like, he didn't want to
Yeah.
a grudge.
because
Did they do the split screen where he's just, like, looking around?
The joke was that, and I don't necessarily disagree with this, he was one of the best supporting actors because it's a male dog. He was one of the best supporting actors all year long, and he really was. Anatomy of a Fall was incredible, and he was incredible in it. He had a whole thing. Anyway, it's a whole thing with him. It's really good. I recommend it. But so then for best supporting actor, you just see the dog sitting there, and all of a sudden two paws are sticking up, and they go, and they're clapping like
terrible.
this. They showed him in the stands during Kimmel's monologue or in the crowd, and that's pretty much all they showed until that. And you could tell it's like, okay, people are holding up two fake paws, clapping on it. It was kind of goofy, but a little funny too.
I'm concerned we're leading EG down a bad path. She writes in the chat, I'm currently reading the first Dune book. Just started. Cannot wait to understand the popcorn bucket.
What's not to understand?
Yeah.
Just look at it.
Only picked it up because of y'all. I worry that we're going down a dark path here with EG, and this popcorn bucket it won't be explained in the book. I promise you that. It's a tough thing to understand here, but it makes me very uncomfortable, and Rockstar's going to grab it.
It's a sandworm. What's so hard to understand, right?
It's very uncomfortable.
Have you not seen a sandworm? That's what they look
I want
like.
to talk about somebody else who made me very uncomfortable last night. They should have had the dog from Anatomy of a Fall, Messi, actually hand out the award for Best Picture because Al Pacino was as lost as anybody I'd seen.
Yeah.
And he just got up there and he's like, okay, all right, I got an envelope. Oppenheimer.
No, he didn't just say Oppenheimer. He said, I hope I see Oppenheimer on here. He says that.
He said that?
as he's opening it up. It's like I expect to see Oppenheimer on here or something like that. Like leading into, because at first I thought he saw it and was just trying to make a joke. Like, of course it's Oppenheimer because we all knew it was going to win. But like he says that and then kind of has to slide the card out a little bit to actually see what wins Best Picture.
Why?
The second time they've done this, there's a million things if you want to honor the actors that have been around the block a few times, to bring them out and let them do Best Picture, the single biggest award of the entire year for anything, is not the time for them to do it.
I agree. That is not the time to have people come out and give their last act on stage. And Al Pacino felt like he was a major liability with unveiling the Best Picture winner. I was worried we were going to get a La La Land Part 2 with that announcement. Tim Robbins needs another type of redemption other than Shawshank. I'm here all day. After flubbing the line aimed towards Robert De Niro's performance from Killers of the Flower Moon, saying it was Oscar winning when he meant to say it was Oscar worthy. Oh, it was a cringy moment that made me sweat, and I hated to see that flub. John, did it make you uncomfortable too?
It was uncomfortable, especially because we all knew there was no chance Robert De Niro was winning, because if it wasn't Robert Downey Jr., it was Ryan Gosling and Mark Ruffalo. He was so far down the line, and it was pretty rough there.
If I was an Academy member, I would have voted for Jesse Plemons to be in that role, not Robert De Niro from Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, I agree.
From that movie. John Cena appeared naked on stage. Did you hear about this?
He did.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why you
missed
got to
out.
watch the Oscars.
That's what the internet's for.
Okay, so we had a dog clapping.
Yep.
We had John Cena naked.
Yep.
Okay. And Al Pacino giving out Best Picture. Okay.
That is correct.
You got me in. I'm in.
I'm Just Ken was performed by Ryan Gosling, and he crushed it.
The best part of the night by far. Not only did Ryan Gosling crush it, and actually did a really very good job singing it live, but
He did it live.
He did it live.
Okay.
He did it live. Mark Ronson was the producer for that entire album, so he was on there playing the bass. You had Simu Liu and Kingsley Ben-Adir from the movie who played other Kens on stage. I wondered if they'd come on or if it'd just be random backup dancers.
They were there.
It was random backup dancers for the rest. And then Wolfgang Van Halen, the kid, and Slash played the guitar with him as he finished it. So he came on stage and they were playing the guitar with him. So it was a good performance, had a lot of star power there, and definitely hit.
I just think me and you may disagree again because I don't think it was the best musical performance of the night. I think Andrea Bocelli and his son Matteo was actually the best musical performance of the night.
A little different because of the five that were.
Anyone think Ryan Gosling's a better vocalist than Andrea Bocelli? I don't.
Well, that's debatable.
Billie Eilish is a better vocalist too, but I'm just Kim was a better performance because she just sat there.
This is how good the In Memoriam segment was, the performance.
Who'd they leave off?
No, it made me forget about the people who were even dead. That's how good the music was from the In Memoriam. And if you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. They overtook the whole thing. I was like, it was a celebration of life instead of some sort of sad, depressing, pre-recorded sentiment that we normally get.
I said this last night. If you were in person at the Oscars, it's the best In Memoriam you will ever see as far as how it sounded, what it looked like. They had different screens they went to show the different people, and then they had like 5 screens that they did for like the best actors and all that they would show faces on, and they did 5 different people. In person, it would have been incredible. They showed that from afar, basically, was how you watched it on TV. So you saw him and his son sitting there singing. You saw a whole troupe of dancers out there doing a very, soft kind of somber dance to it. And you saw in the back behind all of them, oh, by the way, here's all the people that died. So you didn't have that full screen on the TV. So if you weren't really paying attention, plus, they got a lot of people to fit in there because it's all the production people and directors and writers and agents and all kind of people on top of just the actors. So there's so many that they get in there, and they got to the end, they ran out of time, you could tell, and they filled the screen up with just names of just tons of people that they couldn't even fit in there, and said, hey, here's your QR code if you want to go see more people that died this year. Sounds bad, but that's exactly what they did. So it's not great from a TV perspective, other than the music was great, but just for seeing the pictures and the videos of the actors you know and love so much, it was not good on TV, but it was probably incredible in person.
Let's talk about this weekend's box office. Kung Fu Panda 4 came in the number 1 spot. I believe the only person to get this right from the prediction on Friday was Laurel. I think it was Laurel was the only person to get this right.
She did say Kung Fu Panda, but I know I said Dune. I don't remember what everybody else said.
I think Laurel was the only one, but I'll check the tape. Okay. Kung Fu Panda 4 making $58.3 million. It's the second largest opening in franchise history behind that 2008 original. Dune Part 2, $46 million, but here's the important part. Less than a 50% drop in its second week. Word of mouth carrying this movie strong. Anytime you can open up as big as Dune did and hold as well as Dune did, that is a massive accomplishment. That movie's going to continue to rake in a bunch of dough. Number 3 was Imaginary, a film that John and Tyler saw Thursday night in previews on a production budget of about 10 to 12 million, with principal photography taking place in New Orleans. Imaginary made $10 million this past weekend. John, it's just smart business. These are low-budget movies making back its budget in one weekend, and everything from this point on, minus the marketing costs, will be pure profit.
And I'm sure it came off as a slight when I said Blumhouse does one movie and then has 3 or 4 stinkers and then one good movie and has that kind of pattern. But all of his movies make money, ultimately, because he just doesn't spend money, big budget money, on any of his movies, on any of the movies that they do. They're all, for the most part, horror movies, which are all, for the most part, low budget compared to other things. And so even when it's not good movies, still makes money on them.
Tyler, you went and saw Imaginary on Thursday night. We talked about it on Friday. Have you thought about that movie at all over the course of the weekend?
No.
Okay.
This movie's done.
It's a completely disposable experience from what I've heard, and it's all it has to do is get your money once, and it seems like it did that this weekend. Bob Marley, One Love continues to hold strong in the top 5 this weekend after 4 weeks of release and $160 million worldwide. Smash hit Wonka continues on in the top 10 this week after 13 weeks of release and over $625 million worldwide. You're in the kid movie phase right now. Yes. I know Wonka is a little bit too advanced for your son currently.
Correct.
But is it something that you would check out with a older version of your son, given it is a musical and you are a musician?
No.
Okay.
Wonka, I'm tired of the same old story. I love, have you guys ever heard of Timothée Chalamet?
I was hoping you would do that, yes.
It's just,
it's the only reason you brought it up.
It's the only reason I went to Rocky.
It's been done to death. The original Wonka's so good. I've seen like 10 minutes of the Johnny Depp version, which is just super creepy, Tim Burton. And then this version, it's just too much. It's kind of like, I'm sorry, guys, that you keep redoing the Batman story where we do the origins of. Did you know that his parents were killed? Did you know that? Well, I'll explain it to you later.
I think I heard that one time.
But it's just stuff like that where we keep going back to the well for Wonka. And I'm not a big fan of musicals. That's why I love Cars, because it's not really a musical. It's not when they go out in songs. If my son's into it, I'll have to take him to it.
There's like music videos in it, I would argue.
Yeah, there is, but there's not like where Lightning McQueen stops and starts singing. And like
Pixar movies are less musical than the Disney movies are.
I thought Wonka, I went in with very low expectations and was very pleasantly surprised. John, have you seen Wonka yet?
I have not, but I turned on Max twice this past weekend. It was on there, and I was like, I need to watch that, but I don't have time right now. So it's going to happen this week. I'm going to watch it this week.
Charles says the in memoriam music reminded him of the freaking Catalina wine mixer.
That is what they sing.
Heck of a reference there to Step Brothers. We have Justin who says, I was trying to remember where I heard that song last. And then you have Smuff who writes in and says, Tim Burton movies with a throw-up emoji. Batman Returns got its due at the Oscars last night. And and
even Batman and Robin a little bit.
That is true. I don't really want to talk about that, especially since it wasn't done by Tim Burton, which is why we're talking about it.
Or Michael Keaton.
Batman Returns, I don't love that movie as a Batman fan. I don't love it, but I respect a lot about it. And the fact that Danny DeVito and Christopher Walken right now are a part of our weekend talk, with Christopher Walken being in Dune Part 2, Danny DeVito presenting at the Oscars alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger for that Twins reunion.
Loves good jersey, Mike.
He needs a belt. He couldn't keep his pants up during the Oscars. He kept he just kept shifting his pants up the entire time. He really was like his Penguin character from 1992.
Like he had to rent a tuxedo, like couldn't have his own tuxedo, so he had to rent one, but the pants were all way too big because he's too short.
This may be controversial, but Danny DeVito's Penguin, that performance would win an Oscar in this day and age.
I thought it was awesome.
I don't disagree with that.
In this day and age, it would win an Oscar
Depending
because it would be more respected.
Depending on what it's up against, I could totally see that.
That was... it is by far from my favorite comic book villain character, the Penguin, especially Danny DeVito's nasty version of Penguin.
Well, that green that keeps coming out of his mouth,
it's like green and black.
Yeah.
I mean, it's disgusting. Every time I watch that movie, I feel like I need a shower, and it's because Danny DeVito really does give an award-worthy performance. I'm not going to pull a Tim Robbins here and say award-winning, an award-worthy performance. And I am just, every time I watch it, in awe of what he does. And I think it may be, if we were to do a Luntz's list of best Batman villain performances, I think it has to be at least in consideration for that top spot. I don't want you to tell me what else is, because we may actually go down that path sometime very soon.
And Pee Wee Herman was his dad.
It was.
Yep.
You're right.
Paul Rubens had 6 seconds on screen for that.
100% correct. Yeah, that carriage goes right over into the stream.
Yep.
And it's not a pretty movie for sure.
Well, he said that. It's like, oh, yeah, he was.
Speaking of Luntz's list, guess what we have prepared right now?
Hot dogs.
No, it's another edition of Luntz's list. Barbenheimer killed it at the box office. We're the buzz of the Oscars. It's now time to look ahead of 2024. Look ahead at 2024's potential smash hits and what's going to lead the box office with this edition of Luntz's list.
What is this? What is this? Luntz's list. What is this? Oh, oh. What is this? What is this? Luntz's list. Luntz's list. Oh, oh. Luntz's list of 5. Luntz's list of 5. Luntz's list of 5. Luntz's list of 5. Yeah.
It's the first time in days I've actually gotten to the theme song, and I missed it so much. I apologize to Rockstar. I missed it again on Friday, and I'm never going to miss it again. That's my pledge to you.
It's whatever.
No, I love it. I love that song. My entire family sings it nonstop.
Ruined my weekend. Go ahead.
John, you have been tasked with naming the 5 movies that will be in contention for the most money earned at the worldwide global box office in 2024. Are you ready to accept this challenge?
Yeah, I am. There's going to be some disagreement on this list.
Oh, gosh. Imagine that.
You told me to rank this in confidence, 5-1. I kind of went with what I had seen about projections and what I thought was going to happen. But I will say I think my top 4 was pretty solid, and then 5, 6, 7 were all competing for the 5 spot. I went with 1 over it, but I'll give my other options here. All
right, I think we're going to have to erase the board again.
Garfield's not on this list.
I like writing random things on the board while we're after the show.
That is very true.
We can go ahead and get the board shot there, Tyler, because I want people to see just how conceited John Lunsford is. People who are awesome, me, and it's a
There's
graph.
no other space in that circle.
There's no other space in that circle.
Right.
So let's go ahead and erase that. Let's get started with number 5. Rockstar, I feel like you're going to make a more concerted effort to actually see some films. I've already booked you for Twisters. I want you for Twisters.
I will see Twisters. Yeah, like that's fine. I just need to make time for it. It's just that casually we cannot go to a film. It's just not.
Going to have to schedule it out.
Yeah. So
Tyler, trivia question for you. What movie is Twisters a sequel to?
Twister?
That is correct.
How did he get
Good job.
that?
That's the type of question that Spud got in trivia, and he just dominated. All right, number 5,
Girls versus Kids.
Godzilla and Kong.
Okay.
At number 5 there for what is projected by
easier just to write
John
that.
Lunsford in all of his research of what will be the highest grossing movies of 2024. At number 5, Godzilla. Is it Godzilla X Kong? Is that what it's
X-Kong,
called?
The New Empire is the full name of it.
And in this one, Kong has an infinity gauntlet, and he has Stormbreaker, right?
He had Stormbreaker in the last one.
He had Stormbreaker in the last. I almost called it Windbreaker, which is a very different type of thing.
Stormbreaker, the axe that Thor gets in the Marvel movies. But yeah, he does have some Avengers tools there.
How does
at his
Kong lose
disposal.
with those tools? How would he lose?
It's not actually obviously an Infinity Gauntlet. It's just a robotic hand because
Looks like
he
it.
breaks his hand.
Breaks his hand.
According to the trailers, that's what happens.
He goes to the doctor.
Yeah.
Somebody
Anyway,
gets their tooth knocked out in the trailer.
God.
I mean, it's just a big old tooth.
so there's a few things with this.
Alabama Dental Associates. Go ahead.
There's a few things with this list. I'd love to see him operate on him. First, I went to go see, okay, what's going to be the rough projection of it? Obviously, kind of what are industry leaders saying with it that it could potentially do. Now, it's a crapshoot with all this, whether the reviews are good, whether word of mouth is good, the holding power. But also went and looked at all these and said, how many weeks could this potentially be at number 1? As far as what kind of competition is there? Dune was only at number 1 for 1 week, but had some staying power, even though Kung Fu Panda beat it because kids' movies, pretty good overall. So this comes out at the end of this month. It comes out right after Ghostbusters. So it's going to have a little competition in week 2, depending on how Ghostbusters holds.
Mm-hmm.
Dune, depending on how it holds throughout the month, but that'll be 4 weeks away. The new Godzilla movies haven't been like crazy financially successful, but ultimately financially successful, which is why they're going now with a 5th one. But I would say this is on the list because of a few things. Number 1, I feel like this has been marketed way more than any Godzilla film has. It's been going for a while, the marketing for this. Number 2, there's an Apple TV show that was very well received, that actually the main girl in it is the main girl from Shogun. So there's some actress crossover there with the show that's really well received. And number 3, Godzilla -1. The movies had nothing to do with each other, but you just see Godzilla, and boy, hey, there's a Godzilla movie that everybody's raving about. Here's the next Godzilla
And it
movie.
winning at the Oscars is going to provide even more marketing for just Godzilla in general.
Correct. So this isn't necessarily a play on, hey, Godzilla's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it because this is going to be one of those popcorn movies you go just watch a bunch of explosions and fighting between Godzilla, Kong, other monkeys of some sort that pop up in the trailer, and then the villain, which hasn't even been revealed yet. All you've seen is the glow of his eyes. So there's a lot of monsters in this, and I think the thing this one's doing right that's ultimately going to make it successful internationally is I feel like they have totally removed the human element from this movie. It's like, hey, Godzilla -1 did it really good, and we tried and failed miserably in all the other ones.
Yes.
Let's just make it about Godzilla and Kong fighting everybody.
I hope. I just think Son of Kong, I think he looks goofy. I'm sorry. It's in the eyes or
It's
something.
in genetics. It's
Kong
genetics.
looks fantastic. Son of Kong looks ridiculous. I'm sorry. It's true.
Anyway.
Son of Kong looks like he's from a different movie. And if you've seen the trailer, you know what I'm talking about.
The week 2, the only competition is the First Omen, which isn't going to make a crazy amount of money. Monkey Man, honestly don't know how well it's going to do financially, even though Jordan Peele's behind it, and it's got names you recognize.
If I was Kong, I would want a paternity test. Okay, continue.
I don't think it's Kong's kid. You think you're just calling it Son of Kong.
I thought it was like Son of Kong. I thought that
So
was
if I
the
was
whole
son of
thing.
Lunsford, that has nothing to do
No,
with John.
I think it's Kong's kid, but honestly, I don't know because I don't care. I just want to watch them all beat each other up.
I care deeply.
I want him to put an Infinity Gauntlet on, take Stormbreaker, and whack Godzilla with it, and then go say,
It could be Son of Donkey
we
Kong.
need to team up and go kill the actual bad
I
guy.
want some depth. Give me some depth in this.
don't.
Somewhere between this movie and Dune is where I need the depth.
That's why this is going to be the highest grossing movie within this franchise, is because nobody wants depth. They want it from the Japanese version, and we got that from the Japanese version. I don't know if you want me to say what my 6 and 7 were that tied with this.
Not yet.
But I'll get to that at the end. Week 3 is Civil War, which could take away from it, but Civil War being an A24 movie, a divisive movie, financially probably not going to go crazy, even though we're looking forward to seeing it. There really isn't anything until Planet of the Apes on May 10th. That's almost 2 full months.
I cannot wait for that
where there's
movie.
really nothing competing with it from a big screen perspective. This is one that's going to have staying power, I believe, on the big screen, which is ultimately going to help it make some money.
Let's go to number 4. Tyler, your expectations as a Godzilla fan, I guess as a Kong fan too. I don't know if you're a Kong fan. Your expectations for that movie would be what? Godzilla X Kong.
It looks like the Avengers, but with Godzilla and Kong. They team up and fight bigger kaiju.
Kaiju.
I just think it looks silly.
It
All right,
does.
we're at
No
number 4.
Oppenheimer.
Oh, all right. Me and Lunsford maybe getting back on the same page here. I think there's no chance right now
That's
that it is a
pretty
top
hopeful
5
for that movie.
grossing movie. I just think there's no chance. I want to know why you think there's such a chance, because this is a musical.
It is. And now, look, don't get me wrong. It ain't going to get anywhere close where the first one did, I don't think.
Over $1 billion.
First one got shade over $1 billion, almost to 1.1.
And was an Academy darling.
Right. I think this will have some staying power from when it's released. It's released at the beginning of October, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the next movie that would take over any bigger screens that a movie like this would be on, just as not that it's a necessity to be on a big screen, but it's just a big movie.
Halloween the end
Is
again.
it's not until the end of the month when you get to Wolfman, I assume will be on big screens. We'll see, because there's an unknown with Wolfman, or maybe Venom 3 the next week, which will definitely be on the big screen. So it's got almost a whole month of staying power to where if it's well received at all, it'll have some extra money coming in. I would roughly project it at like between 700 and 800 million.
Whew,
which
that would be great.
For nowadays box office is very, very good.
Yeah.
It still looks like, well, the first one made, almost 300 million more dollars, but it's just the state of the box office now versus the state of the box office before.
We at least agree on the core fundamental that there's no way this movie reaches the heights of the first one. It was a lightning in a bottle situation of every major news media outlet talking about it, saying this is the most dangerous movie you can see in cinemas. Well, guess what? Everybody flocked to the movie theaters and said, oh, the movie's dangerous. I want a taste of that feeling. And they got that in the original Joker. Talk about your experience going in to see Joker, the first one that came out back in 2019.
Yeah, so we were in Los Angeles to see this, and was that my honeymoon? Did it come out in December?
It came out in October.
Okay, so we were there for Horror Nights. That's right. Okay, so we were there for Horror Nights out at Universal Studios, but it was the weekend that this came out. So that opening Friday, not the opening Thursday, but that opening Friday, when it's technically the release night, we went to the TCL Chinese Theater that you see all the time in Hollywood to see it in IMAX, and there were armed guards outside. You had to come in, show your ticket, go through a metal detector, get waved with a wand, and then if you had anything, get patted down to come into the theater, because there was such a fear that this movie is going to change people. This movie is going to, attract a certain kind of person, that it legitimately had multiple armed guards that you had to get through just to even sit down and watch a movie. It was crazy. And obviously out in LA, it was, that's like one of the theaters in America. It was an interesting experience. It ultimately led to a good movie. The experience helped the movie, I think, because it's memorable to go back and think of, on top of it just being a good movie. None of that will exist for this movie, because we're past that, I feel like now. The biggest mistake this movie can make, I think, and I think it's making it currently, is not marketing it as a musical, because it will destroy word of mouth. If everybody goes in, it's like, did you know it's a musical? And everybody's like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm not going to go see that. Whereas if it's marketed well, just from a trailer perspective and everybody hitting the late night circuit perspective and everything, and Lady Gaga's wondering if they're your main people promoting it, and going in, it's a musical, but I'm willing to give it a chance. That's going to help, as opposed to trying to hide it. And I feel like that's what they're trying to do right now.
Do you think they release the first trailer around the time of Deadpool and Wolverine, the release of that film, or do you think that's too late in the cycle?
I think it's too late.
Movie comes out in October.
But, I mean, potentially. But I think it's too late.
I think it could definitely be tied in there. All right, let's get to number 3. These are the movies that John predicts will be your biggest money makers in the year of 2024. At number 5, Godzilla X Kong. At number 4, Joker. Folie à Deux, which I have to remind myself what
Hot
that
Shots.
is.
Hot Shots Part 2. I remember that
It
one.
has something to do with time, right? Folie à Deux.
I
What is
think
it?
I think it might be Madness of Two in French.
Yeah,
Madness
2
of
is
Two.
good.
Like
That makes more sense. than
psychological condition where it's like a shared psychotic break.
something. Madness for Two. You're right. It means madness for two in French.
Well, why don't they just say that, Tim?
I mean, if they respected America, they would.
Yeah.
I should have written do instead of two on this one.
I actually thought you did that. Inside Out 2, which all looks like one word
Yeah, it
from what
does.
I can
I'm
see.
sorry. I
Hideout.
start writing big, and then it's like, oh man, I'm running out of room. Like 3 letters in.
Inside Out.
Yeah.
Inside Out 2. Inside Out 2. You have a lot of hopes for this one making a lot of money. Pixar needs the hit. We talked about this in our trailer review, which you can find on our channel. John, why do you have so much confidence that Inside Out 2 will draw in family audiences this summer?
So 1 and 2 were easy for me. It was which one did I want to put 1, which one did I want to put 2. 3 and 4 were easy for me. It was which one did I want to put 3, which one did I want to put 4. I ultimately led Inside Out 2 because it's an easier sell to the average person. Obviously, it's not going to be a hard R movie like Joker is. But I think Inside Out is one of, if not the best Pixar film. Eileen Wally being the best one, but a lot of people will probably say Inside Out. The first one made $858 million. I project this one to be about the same as Joker, between the 700 and 800 million range. Only 5 Pixar movies have beaten it: Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, Toy Story 3 and 4, and The Incredibles 2. The last 4 made over $1 billion. Every one of those that made over $1 billion was a sequel to one of their biggest films: The Incredibles, Toy Story, and Finding Nemo. This is the first sequel we've gotten to one that is widely considered one of their best. Whether you think it's the best or not, it's considered definitely a top 5, top 3 to most people. I think the only thing keeping this from making $1 billion is just the box office in general being way down. You just don't get billion-dollar movies outside of the rare occasion. Barbenheimer was a thing that if those 2 movies came out 6 months apart, neither one probably makes $1 billion. And Mario kind of caught lightning in a bottle with what it did.
Mario had good word of mouth, though, from family
It did.
audiences that every member of the family could walk in and enjoy Mario. Inside Out 2, there's a chance it may suck. And that would crush its box office legs.
Well,
They need Jack
yes.
Black.
Right. Jack Black is the key to all success. Which, by the way, Kung Fu Panda 4.
Dude
It's
ends up
another
being
proof.
number 1 next week out of nowhere, and everybody drops it because, hey, the best thing Kung Fu Panda had going for it, I didn't even hardly know the movie was coming out next week or last week, was his cover of Baby One More Time that he did, just randomly appearing everywhere, it seems like, last week going into it. But yes, Pixar and just movies in general from Disney have not been where they used to be, but I have faith that this is a property that, at least, even if this one isn't great, will get the butts in the seat to let me see for myself, because the first one was really good, just like The Incredibles. The Incredibles 2, is, in terms of overall Pixar, is middle of the pack at best, but everybody loved The Incredibles, so they went to go see it. Toy Story is always going to put butts in the seats no matter what. And then Finding Nemo, Finding Dory did the same thing. Those are the only ones that have beaten it, so I'd put it up there on that tier. I think it has a chance to do well. It has to be absolute garbage for it not to do well, and I just don't see it as like, oh my God, that was so bad. You may walk out and say, oh, that wasn't as good as the first one. Maybe they just stop with Inside Out. But I don't think there's a way you walk out and say, oh, that was garbage.
If it's not really good, though, a lot of people are going to go, I can wait for Disney Plus. That's going to be the main question. Can we wait for Disney Plus for this? That is how Disney is judged now on almost all of their releases. That's what families are going to say. Because to take an entire family to the theater is quite pricey to begin with. If the movie does not live up to the hype, it's going to hurt it. I worry about this one the most, probably, on your list so far.
There's
But
more.
we'll see.
There's more Disney, so
I know there's more
the same
Disney.
could be said about it too.
Why
We
can't they
will
call
see.
the sequel Outside In?
Hey, if you're on the outside and you want to get inside, Realtor Jim Wilson with Location Real Estate, he is your guy. Jim has a client who is an active duty Marine who is looking for a 4-bedroom house in Jefferson County for $250,000 or less. If you're selling a property like this, call Jim at 205-329-4758. 329-4758. Jim is still active with the U.S. military. He's able to help you secure the American dream of finding your perfect home. Jim's only happy when his clients are happy. Each of Jim Wilson's clients has his full attention and devotion to get what they need and want, not only during the home buying or selling experience, but every day after. He's an advocate for you. Whether you're buying or selling, contact Jim Wilson realtor with Location Real Estate at 205-329-4758 or visit jimwilson.locationre.com. That is location with a K. All right, we're moving on to number 2 on Luntz's list. These are the 5 moneymakers, according to John, this year, the 5 biggest moneymakers of 2024. None of these have released yet. I don't think Dune Part 2 is going to make this list.
They could do an Oppenheimer re-release.
I know one thing that will for sure make this list. Oppenheimer's currently playing in theaters right now.
Yeah, so it's got a chance.
Like-
Operation Dumbo drop. Oh, wait.
Deadpool 3, or as industry insiders call it, Deadpool and Wolverine, which you didn't want to write. I understand it's not a criticism. My gosh. Why are we so feisty with one another
I need
today?
a yellow marker, and it wouldn't show up well if I did
That's
that.
perfect. Deadpool 3. Everyone knows what you're talking about. You're wearing a Deadpool hat right now. Are you on this Deadpool 3 bandwagon right now?
I mean, we've both talked about the millions of reasons why it needs to work. Deadpool as a whole is the 2 highest grossing X-Men movies ever, Deadpool 1 and 2. Logan is up there as one of the higher grossing ones, made $619 million. Deadpool 1 and 2 made $782 and $785 million. Is it going to be more peak X-Men, which is in the 700s? Is it going to be more peak Marvel, which can reach the $2 billions? It's not going to get $2 billion, but if I was a betting man, I would bet it's slightly under $1 billion. I think there's only $1 billion movie, and obviously that's number 1. But, it has a chance to break $1 billion. I'm not going to be shocked if it breaks $1 billion. But just Marvel movies in general hadn't done much. The last Marvel movie that was released, or last MCU movie that was released, was The Marvels, made $205 million, I think. It's the lowest grossing one they've ever had in the MCU. They haven't had $1 billion movie since the last Spider-Man movie, and that was 3 years ago. It was 2021. So there's not a lot of history helping this at all, but it's the only hope, and it's the only MCU movie coming out this year. So if you're going to get that fixed, this is it. However, how many people say, well, I can get this on Disney Plus in a month?
Not as many as the families that will be watching Inside Out. Not as many. A little bit different of a core demo.
I just think of the average moviegoer that we talk to between this show and the next round, more would wait for streaming than go see it in the theater. And so only going off the people that I actually converse with here, it's like, I'm not going to go spend the $50 to get the popcorn and see the movie and enjoy it there. I'll just catch it when it comes on streaming in a month or two. That, yes, there's plenty of kids that would say that too, but I don't, I assume there's a lot of kids that's like, hey, let's make an outing of it. Yeah. This is a thing we can actually take our kids out and go see it.
Okay. We'll see how
you can't with this because it's hard R.
We'll see how it plays out. A lot of people don't want to be spoiled. The opening weekend is where this thing's going to take the biggest chunk of its dollars. This isn't a movie that's going to grow from week to week. It's going to be a huge opening weekend. Do you think it's fair to say this is the biggest opening weekend of the year by far? Deadpool 3? Regardless of the totals, forget the totals for a second, biggest opening weekend, this one right here, it doesn't get bigger than this year, does it? Or is it like I need to reveal number 1 to have this discussion? Is that what
obviously it's between this and number 1.
Let's go ahead and get to number 1. Let's get to number 1 on Luntz's list. Because these are, according to John, the 5 highest grossing movies of 2024 will be the 5 highest grossing movies of 2024. And to have the full discussion, we need to see what number 1 is on the list. I know Madam Web ain't going to be number 1.
Yeah.
Says who?
Madam Web. Says Madam Web. She used her psychic abilities to be able to figure this out.
I see it. Oh.
What are we seeing?
Oh.
He was teasing.
He started writing Madam Web.
He did.
My damn
He
web.
did.
The anticipation's killing me. What is number 1 on Luntz's list?
Oh, yeah. This movie's going to do crazy numbers internationally. Despicable Me 4.
Despicable Me 4. This is a cheat code to Luntz's list because you're right. It is going to
nothing makes money like the Minions.
Yeah.
This thing's going to
nothing.
This thing is going to make money, and I think it's a safe choice. I really do. I credit you for cracking the code here on Luntz's list, but I still think
now could Deadpool beat it opening weekend? Sure. I don't know that I would say it's definitely a sure thing though. That's just me.
I think Deadpool will be the highest grossing movie for a single weekend. If you were to take a look at the highest grossing weekends of the year, I think Deadpool that there will be great intensity about that.
You know, also what's crazy about your list? Every single one is a sequel.
Well, welcome to Hollywood.
Or the universe, or whatever.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Every single one.
That's what generates the dollars.
I know.
Franchises.
That's just where we are.
Now, while none of them were sequels, they all were adapted from things this year. The 3 highest grossing movies of the year with Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Super Mario Brothers. Not sequels technically, but still copied from source material. So it's just the way it is. People, as much as people complain about, there's no good original movies in Hollywood anymore, number one, that's absolutely not true. Number two, that's what y'all are voting for with your money. It's to go see these movies. That's just how it is. Now, the number 6 and number 7 I was debating with Godzilla x Kong was Dune 2, which could get over 600, but I think it probably stops there at its peak, and Planet of the Apes. Because Planet of the Apes actually has not done super well financially. The second one did well, but the third one tanked for a lot of reasons, and the first one didn't crush it. So strictly from a financial perspective, it and Godzilla are actually pretty neck and neck overall with how the franchise is done.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, one of my most anticipated of the year, is definitely going to be one of those that tries to re-earn the trust of the audience after what was an abysmal ending to that trilogy in War for the Planet of the Apes. But a very strong list here, John. You've done your research. There's a lot we can keep up with. Make sure you take a snapshot of this list, because seeing how it matches up, if it matches up perfectly, and these are the 5 in order, we are never going to hear the end of it from John Lunsford. But I think we have a guest at the window. John, can you tell me if we have an official guest? I think we do.
Yes, do we?
Shift around.
Who is that?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, God. Hey,
it's
let me get
Taylor.
that.
Get the door. Get the door, Rockstar. We have a guest here in the studio. It always makes us happy when we have visitors. Welcome in, Taylor Korn, everybody, here with us.
Hello.
Welcome. Let's get you all situated here. Don't be scared of this microphone. It's a little wonky, but it'll work. It'll work. Just talk while I am moving here.
Do you want me to? Okay. Is there something that I can do to make this easier?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Just talk.
Okay,
All right.
just
Welcome
talk.
in, Taylor. How
Thanks.
are you? You're
I'm
making your
awesome.
Meltdown debut.
I am. I'm excited about it.
For those that don't know, what do you do here at Disrupt Media?
Social media. A lot of
correct.
social media.
Some say you may be the queen of social media. That's what I've heard.
Some may say. Some may say.
like that
hey,
moniker?
it depends on the day, I think.
This is supposed to be an honest, transparent conversation. Do you like the moniker queen of social media?
I would rather it be that than like the worst ever,
Right.
you know? So,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I take it as a compliment.
I agree with you on that. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love your job?
11.
That is, I thought it would be higher than 11, to be honest. You're always so giddy. You're always so happy to be here.
I am. I love it. Every day's an adventure. Every day's an adventure. I can probably
One way
leave
to
it
put
at
it,
that.
yeah.
But yeah, it's so fun. I get to do what I enjoy talking about, do what I love to do. So I have no complaints.
And you're going to be doing more of that. We have a new brand to unveil, which is the Uncorked brand that's
Yes.
getting started up. It's in its infancy right now.
It is.
For those that don't know, which is most everyone right now because it's a brand new thing,
Right.
how would you describe the Uncorked brand? What's your sort of goal with that? What is, because I think people need more Taylor in their lives.
So what we're trying to accomplish here is a little bit of everything. I would say it's kind of a melting pot. And
It's a good tie-in with the Meltdown, by the way. Melting pot. I like
oh, look
that.
at that.
Stumbled upon it perfectly.
I did. So I will be reacting to Auburn games after wins or losses. The losses are harder and probably more entertaining for the viewer.
And why Auburn games, Taylor?
Why Auburn? Because I live and die by the Auburn Tigers, which is, it's fun, but at the same time,
It's a relationship that'll test you.
yes, often. I'm hoping that this football season will be better, but a little bit of that. I've been doing a little bit of reality TV reaction on TikTok specifically.
What have you been watching so far?
Summer House. It's crazy. The people on there are crazy. And I don't know how it's the 8th season, and I don't know how they've stayed together this long. Because if I had to be around, if I just spend my summer, you know, you're gonna have a great summer in the Hamptons. That's the setting. And then you bring psychopaths in. And I would be like, I'm spending money to be in the Hamptons, which cannot be cheap. And then I surround myself over and over with these crazy people. I couldn't do it, but it's entertaining for me to watch.
Assuming there's a little bit of a paycheck there to keep them
Probably so.
put into place. Yeah, I'll take the $100,000 to stay here, I guess.
That's true. But there's one girl that's she needs to go.
Rocky, do you have a trash reality TV series that you really like? I know not currently maybe, but have you had one in the past?
I used to absolutely love the original Blind Date with Roger Lodge. I guess was that was that reality TV? I have never seen. I think I've seen an episode of The Bachelor, but I was never into the Real Housewives or any of that stuff. Watched a little bit of American Idol, but I was never really into the trashy. True Life. That's not really a trashy.
Remember Cheaters? Did you ever watch Cheaters?
Cheaters with Joey Greco.
Oh, yeah.
The time he got stabbed, those were
my
so real.
gosh.
Showed
Yeah,
it on G4. I hated when they showed it on G4.
it was so real, but because it was real because they would disguise the voices and go to the night vision. So
Right.
that shows that that's a real stalking.
It was intense.
But would you say this channel is tailor-made for the listeners?
Oh no, Rocky.
Out of all the puns today, that one
Oh.
is the absolute best. Good job. That was
Yeah.
Good
fantastic.
job, Rocky.
High bar today.
That
High
was
bar.
fantastic.
And then something that I want to do and I'm going to do is a mailbag style video. The frequency of it is yet to be determined, but the questions, they can be about any topic. So
So for those that don't know, you're a super transparent person. You wear your emotions on your sleeve.
I do.
And you are honest all the time about how you're feeling. People can almost read it off of you if
To
you're
a
not even
fault.
saying it. You
at
would be a
times.
horrendous poker player because everyone
Yes.
would know immediately what you have based
Yeah.
on just the way you're looking at your own cards.
Right.
But I think that that's good for your YouTube channel because people are going to be able to connect with you on a very deep level because you're going to put it all out there. And that's what the mailbag segment's all about.
Right, it is. So the questions, and I think a lot of people, as everyone in here knows, are very fascinated by what goes on, what y'all
Behind
do
the
in the back
scenes, yeah.
room and stuff like that. So questions about our day-to-day life, anything like that. Auburn, if you want to get me riled up. But really anything, I think, and I'm going to want to get, everyone a little bit involved. So you can direct your questions at anyone. I'm going to want to bring guests on.
One thing we've got to do this year is get Taylor to the right movie. She joined us
Oh,
in our
yes.
Oscars reaction show last night. And I said something. I didn't mean for it to be offensive. I hope you didn't take
Oh,
offense
no,
to
no,
it.
no, no.
But she came in and she shouted Oscars in the chat. And I was so happy to see her there. And I thought, well, let me tell her I realized that she's here supporting, and I'm happy about that. And I came out there and I said, Taylor, she's so excited to be here. She's screaming Oscars, although I assume she has not seen any of the Best Picture winners.
No,
and I
couldn't
started
name 'em.
immediately thinking about how condescending that sounded. But it's just because I know Taylor, and the audience may not know that I know that Taylor doesn't really go to the movies, but has an appetite to go to movies. And I said, we got to get Taylor back to the movies. It's been 7 years or something.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the last time that I went to a movie. I do not remember or watched one.
She came up to me the other day and she was like, "Do you know they have food now at the movie theaters? You can get food in your seats.
Individual
Yeah.
seats.
You can eat food at the they have waiters and waitresses. Well, they don't have waiters and waitresses. They have deliverers." But she was so enamored by all of that. I was like, "We got to get her to the movie, and we got to document it the entire time."
Yeah.
Taylor goes to the movies.
Yes.
We just got to find the right movie. I'm wondering.
Garfield.
Is Twisters that right movie to bring her into? And
Well, I
make it a
got to go
whole-
too, so we can make a double feature
Yeah,
out of it.
I mean,
I think Twisters is the right movie for Taylor.
Can you give me a synopsis?
Okay, there's tornadoes.
and they
Okay.
destroy
They
everything.
destroy everything, all while there's interpersonal drama playing out and love interests playing out. There's big tornadoes that come and absolutely destroy towns and cities and all of that.
May I ask how long it is?
I don't know yet.
Because
Don't know
I
yet.
don't have an official runtime yet.
okay, because that's the thing. I don't remember what movie that y'all saw last week. I think it was. It was when we were talking about
Dune
this.
Part 2.
Dune.
Yeah, and I think
There's
Lunsford-
the popcorn bucket right there.
Yeah, I've seen that on the internet before.
Don't get near it.
Should
yeah,
be censored.
That thing has
be
been
blurry.
manhandled. You don't want to get anywhere
Literally.
near that thing.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't plan on making
Don't
contact
even
with that
look
bucket.
at it. Don't
But-
even look it in the eye.
But I think it was Lunsford leaving, and he was talking about the movie. It was the day that y'all were going, and said it's only about I'm saying it's only 2 hours and 45 minutes. And I was like, 2 hours and 45 minutes with no intermission. What is going on here? I wouldn't be able to do it. I would either fall asleep or just snap out of days.
That helps the review. That's even better that you fell asleep.
I think this one will
Only
be
good
close.
things can happen.
This will be close to 90 minutes. This
Okay,
movie,
I can do
can't
that.
they can't
The
drag
first
this
one
movie out.
was an hour and 53 minutes.
Okay, I could probably handle that.
I don't think we're going to find one shorter than that. You've got to make a commitment too. We're making a
Yeah.
commitment to you. You've got to make a commitment to us.
I'll commit. I'll go, and I will pay attention
What's the release date on Twisters? Do you have that? Because we need to get it
yeah.
in the calendar as soon as possible.
Are we going to go to the midnight premiere?
July 19th.
You haven't been to the movies in so long.
Is that not a thing anymore?
No, it's not.
July 19th.
July
when it comes
19th.
out.
You have time to prep.
Summer
okay?
blockbuster.
Start conditioning yourself.
Is this a second?
This is second.
The second that I don't think you need to see the first.
I didn't see
Okay.
the first either.
But if
Okay.
you could see the first between now and then, I wouldn't discourage
yeah.
that.
Yes, but it came out 30 years ago.
Oh.
I mean, it's good. It's good. Don't get me
Okay.
wrong. It's good. But it's definitely a sequel.
Okay. Well, I can
Yes.
probably figure out a time to watch that between now and July, June.
July.
July.
Don't
Okay.
forget, this is very important to all of us.
Yeah, I won't. This is very important to me. I'm going to be committed to this.
John, one thing you're committed to, one thing that's very important for sure, one thing that we've been committed to and it's very important for us, that's our relationship with Way to Wellness, which is really creating a whole new relationship that we have with our diet, with our meal structure, with our food, with our physical activity. It's a complete plan and one that we are enjoying very much, and we're working on this together on a daily basis.
We are. Go to aplanforme.com and go visit Leslie and our friends at Way to Wellness. Went out of town this weekend, but they've kind of helped guide me down the right path so I could go out of town and still, find the right things to eat and still have the right lifestyle when I go out of town instead of the old ways that I had. So, go there, talk to them, get that consultation, talk to the doctor, see, hey, what's the best plan for me? Your plan's slightly different than mine is. They look at us and say, look, we're two very similar people, but we have totally different eating habits. We have totally different, routines in life. And so we both have a plan that's very much tailor-made for us. It's aplanforme.com. I get it because
Was that
Taylor's sitting in the studio right
does
now.
Rockstar deserve some sort of payment for that, stealing that joke?
The Band-Aid's off. The Band-Aid's off.
Sorry.
Anyway, it is tailor-made for you. It's tailor-made for me. Jim Dunaway obviously done a great job with it. My dad's done a great job with it. So go visit Leslie and the whole staff there at Way to Wellness.
Do you like what we've done with the studio, Taylor? Do you
I
like
love it. I love it.
You're a fan?
Yes, I like the, I don't know what to call it, like personality, what's
Feng
the word?
shui.
Personal items?
Yeah. I don't want to call it clutter. It's like a good type of you have things.
It's a good type of
that
You're the only person that don't want to call it clutter.
Well, I feel like the word clutter has a negative connotation to it, but I mean it in a positive way.
Well, thank you for that. Rockstar, one thing I love is when you talk about other employees up here, you always find the right words at the right time. What, for people, take them behind the scenes a little bit. What's something you really love about Taylor?
That has to be positive.
It has to be. It has to be positive. She's a guest here of the Meltdown.
Taylor is always gung ho. She is always the one that wants to do whatever. Even if it's a bad idea, she's all about it. She's willing to try anything to help this company. Seriously, that's to have
Going to Twisters,
yeah,
probably. Yeah.
To have a positive attitude like that surely helps. It really does help the atmosphere of this business because it shows Mike, she's so excited about this, and it brings a lot of happiness to I'm happy to see her outside. She's in her little chair on her iPad doing her stuff, and then she's willing to go see Twisters. I mean, my
Thanks,
God,
Rocky.
that's
Commitment.
great.
Isn't it always sweet when Rocky
look at me
opens
when
up
I
like
say
this?
stuff.
It is.
It really makes my heart warm. I love when he talks about Scott. Scott comes in, he says nothing to no one.
Oh man, that guy is
He
focused.
stays focused. He stays in his lane. He doesn't make eye contact with me, and he leaves. And I love him for it. It's like, I can't wait to get Scott in here for you to be able to tell that to his face.
If he's gone, he is gone. First pitch was 20 minutes ago.
Taylor, you're going to be generating some content for Disrupt Media and the next round surrounding SEC men's basketball tournament in Nashville. Are you excited about that trip?
I'm very
Tell us what you
excited.
got in store for that you can tell us. What can you promote?
So Jim Dunaway and I will be in Nashville the Auburn Alabama games are Friday. We will be there in time for tip-off. I might be going Thursday. That's TBD. But after every Auburn game, every Alabama game, as far as they go in the tournament, we will be live reacting. And then we will also have a lot of other pre-recorded videos that you can find across all of our social media platforms, which I always encourage you to follow because I greatly appreciate that. And so we'll be live after Auburn, live after Alabama, and then the rest is a surprise.
I think you're the first person to look direct to
I
camera.
just noticed
Is that
it's fine.
Is that the one I'm supposed to be looking at?
That is the one.
Yes.
Okay.
Congratulations.
That'd be even better if it
You
wasn't.
got it.
Because I was looking at it because I looked over there and I was like, I don't see one over there, so I'm just gonna keep on keeping on.
Your eye contact is good. I can tell you're ready for Uncorked to take that next step.
I'm ready.
Your eye contact is ready to go. Taylor, thank you for being here with us
Thank
today.
y'all.
I hope you'll come back again, and hopefully we'll be able to next time play a game or something, have a little
Oh, yeah.
fun. That sound fun?
Yeah.
We'll make that happen. Appreciate Taylor. John, we also appreciate our title sponsor. That's MyBookie.
It is mybookie.ag. Use promo code next round there. Go play some NHL, NBA, college basketball as we're getting to those conference tournaments, and March Madness, of course, coming up as well in a week. So go to mybookie.ag. Use promo code next round. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with our friends at MyBookie.
I appreciate John Lunsford, Rocky, Tyler, Taylor, the landscaping company that's working behind us currently. I'm Tim Melton. This has been The Meltdown, presented by MyBookie, broadcasting live from the Culver studio.